Majid Nawaz on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
In a leaked report, the Labour Party has conceded that its handling of anti-Semitism complaints appear to be vulnerable to political forces in their senior ranks. That comes as the outgoing head of the Board of Deputies of British Jews has said that British Jews would leave the country if Corbyn became Prime Minister. An incredibly serious statement to make that carries, in my view, with it grave implications about the kind of country we want to be. I mean, this is the country that gave refuge to Jews after World War II, and it's heartbreaking for me to hear people, even, of course, if not everybody goes, even if some people are leaving. We've heard from people saying they're making preparations, and others have tweeted me saying they've already left. It's heartbreaking. Now, every year, this is, of course, about the Labour Party. Shami Chakrabarti, who originally conducted the investigation or inquiry into Labour, I believe whitewashed that inquiry, and now she's looking at it again with the founder of Momentum, John Landsman, and this time they are actually saying that there is a problem. But it's because it's about the Labour Party, I will also now make this appeal to the Labour Mayor for London, Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan, if you're listening, and I hope you are, every year on the 18th of June, terrorists march through London raising terrorist flags. And they do so openly and brazenly in the name of freedom of association. The group that they are supporting is Hezbollah, a terrorist organisation that is recognised in multiple countries around the world as being such. Hezbollah targets Israeli citizens, children, women, men who are non-combatants with their suicide bombings as an official doctrine. And yet Hezbollah flags are raised every year on June the 18th, openly in London in an open march. The flags of a proscribed terrorist organisation. Hezbollah, unlike Sinn Féin or the IRA, does not have a political wing and a military wing. Hezbollah only has one leader, Nasrallah, who has stated openly that he controls both the military and political factions of Hezbollah. That is something that Hezbollah does not hide. And so in my view, there is absolutely no excuse whatsoever for the London Met to be allowing for this march to continue, so long as it continues to... And by the way, these aren't rogue protesters raising terrorist flags in this Al-Quds Day rally on June the 18th every year. The rally organisers officially tell protesters to come up flying Hezbollah flags at the rally. It's part of the organisers' official policy to encourage protesters to raise this terrorist flag. And so if Labour want to be taken seriously on this issue, the Labour Mayor of London needs to work with the Met to make sure that this provocation doesn't continue to occur every year. Just imagine for a moment what Britain's minority ethnic communities, people of colour, would feel like if every year KKK flags were marched through Tower Hamlets. Just imagine the fear that this ingrains into British Jews to see what is quite clearly a terrorist organisation, not only, by the way, against the State of Israel, but its operations inside Syria against Syrian Sunni Arab Muslims. And the way in which Iran, that finances Hezbollah, has encouraged it to move into Syria to support the Assad regime. This organisation is a terrorist organisation, and flying its flags in London should have absolutely no place in the modern day and age. It's coming up in 2 weeks' time, and I hope London's Labour Mayor takes action this time around. Tell me what you think. 0345 60 60 973. Thor wants to speak to us from Waltham Forest. Go for it, Thor.
Hi, so I'm actually delighted that you brought Al-Quds up. I was going to talk about general anti-Semitism more, but I've actually opposed the rally now for 2 years running. For 2 years, we've managed to hold it up. We stand in front of the rally because we object so much to this open support of terrorism in London. And we've pleaded with the head of the Metropolitan Police to stop the rally. We've asked the mayor to stop the rally, and he's not interested at all. They just want the rally to go ahead, and they will fly the flags. They try and make an excuse that it's the political wing flag that they fly.
There is no political wing to Hezbollah, Thor.
Yeah, I know it is. No, I know that you'd know, but so many people don't know.
Yep.
And the police are prepared to believe them. The police will do anything to make allowances for Hezbollah supporters. They have no interest whatsoever in the realities of the situation. We try and bring the public to realise what's happening. That an open terrorist organisation marches through the streets of London. And also, let's remember that 5 years ago on the Al-Quds rally, it was addressed by Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
He actually spoke at it. This outrageously anti-Semitic organisation whose statements are so close to that of the Nazis that people often can't tell the statements apart.
Thor, on the report that we're discussing that's been leaked from the Labour Party and the remarks of the outgoing Board of Deputies leader that Jews would leave the country if Corbyn became Prime Minister. Of course, all of these come together. The Al-Quds Day March under the Labour Mayor of London, of course, the allegations of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, and now these remarks by the outgoing Board of Deputies. It's a very tough one. It's a catch-22. I don't want this country to be bereft of Jews, and I want them to stay for various reasons, not just because, human beings deserve every sense of dignity, but also because what does it say about this country if that happens? It's terrible to see it happening to France. What would your advice be to Jews who are saying they want to leave?
Well, it's got to be a personal decision. I'm on the other side on this one. My grandfather, Herbert Hollander, was the first Jew in the SAS in World War II. I've been in the army myself. I'm staying and fighting right here.
Please do, Thor. Please do, and I'll stand right next to you and fight with you.
Yeah, please do. If you have it, come to the Al-Quds March and stand with us against them.
Oh, is there a counter-protest, is there?
Oh, no, as I said, we do a counter-protest every year.
Yeah.
We counter-protest them. So please come and join us.
I may increase your likelihood to be hurt if I turn up.
Yeah,
but let's definitely follow that up on email, Thor. All right, let's follow that up on email.
Do that.
Yep, thank you very much. It's Thor there from Waltham Forest. Going to Jane on the line from Liverpool.
Well, the previous caller sort of took the wind out of my sails. I was so happy to hear him. It's just this thing of it sounds like I respect everything that's been said by previous callers. I understand that people are frightened for their children, because people always are, overprotective. But this idea that the Jews in this country, that we're all frightened and we're all going to run away, is absolute nonsense. It's not what I pick up from family and friends, either here in Liverpool or those living in other cities.
Good. I mean, I'd be mortified if this were in any way reflective of the majority of Jewish sentiment in this country, because what that says about our country is it's too uncomfortable to bear. I think, actually, let's all stand together, stay here and fight together against all forms of racism and prejudice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What I would say is, rather than being afraid, we're angry. The Jews that came out in noisy protest, which is unusual because Jewish people usually would have a silent protest, recently, they were angry. That's from anger. It's not from fear. So anybody that thinks that we're frightened little rabbits that are going to run away, I just don't like that image because it's just so wrong.
Jane, about the allegations inside the Labour Party, what would Corbyn need to do to reassure you?
I don't think Corbyn could reassure me because of the man himself. Yeah. I'm not making allegations. The point is, if he isn't anti-Semitic, then he's weak. I don't like racists.
It may well be weakness, Jane. Let's see what comes out of this report. Ali wants to speak to us from Birmingham. Go for it, Ali.
Hi, good morning, Majid.
Morning.
My name is Ali. I'm from Birmingham. I am a Muslim, and I absolutely condemn violence of all sorts. I do condemn if Hezbollah has been declared as a terrorist organisation under the British law, then I think they should not be allowed to bring their flags out. But equally, I must mention this, that you are scaremongering. I am one of the participants of this rally that takes place every year, and it is not organised by Hezbollah. I am a progressive, educated...
It's organised by the Iranian Front Group, IHRC, Ali. Don't try and pull the wool over my eyes.
It's not.
Masood Shadra, Ali, Masood Shadra of his so-called Islamic Human Rights Commission is a directly Iranian theocratic funded front group for the Iranian regime.
You've changed your tone now completely. What you said earlier was that this is a Hezbollah organised rally.
No, you know what? If I did say that, that's inaccurate. I don't think I said that. I said it's a rally in which Hezbollah terrorist flags are raised, which is true, isn't it? If you've attended it every year, Ali, you've seen that, yeah?
You were saying marching through the streets. You're saying terrorists marching through the streets. And now I condemn terrorists.
Yeah. So, Ali, tell me this. Ali. Hold on, Ali.
I absolutely loved you up until what you made today.
Ali, okay, Ali, you know what? Listen to me a second. If you've attended this rally every year, have you seen Hezbollah flags raised at the rally?
I have.
Yep. And has the organisation that puts this rally on, the IHRC, every year on its website encouraged protesters to come with the Hezbollah flag?
No, they don't.
All right, I personally read their website.
You see, this is it. So and by the way,
yep.
You do not have to be invited to the rally by IHRC. IHRC is another organisation that is one of the volunteers on that rally. This rally was initiated by the Revolution of Islamic Iran, which means that when Khomeini took over Iran, he actually made a very open statement saying that Palestinian...
What do you think of the Iranian regime, Ali?
I don't think they are actually legitimate at all.
Yeah.
Did you hope that I was going to say something else?
No, because you just said the rally was started by the Iranian regime, and I'm wondering how that is in any way a defence of this rally.
Because this is actually to raise the voice of Palestinians who are being persecuted by the Israeli army at the moment.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Ali, one of the best ways to raise the voice of Palestinians is not by supporting terrorists, because that undermines the Palestinian cause. The biggest enemy to Palestinian liberation is terrorism. But thank you for calling in anyway. That's Ali there from Birmingham. You're listening to Majid Nawaz here on LBC. The time is 11:46.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Majid Nawaz.
Good morning, it's Majid Nawaz sitting in for James O'Brien. Britain's most senior doctors... when I say Britain's most senior doctors... Sorry, guys, we did that one. In a leaked report, the Labour Party has conceded that its handling of anti-Semitism complaints appeared to be vulnerable to political forces in senior ranks. And the Board of Deputies' outgoing leader said that British Jews will leave the country if Corbyn becomes Prime Minister. Tell me what you think. Is that correct or is that alarmist? 0345 6060 973. Linda from Pinner, tell me what you think.
Hi, Majid, I love your shows. Look, I've got to tell you something. My ancestors came to this country, thank God for this country, during the Spanish Inquisition. Oliver Cromwell invited them in. And if you think we're going to run, it ain't going to happen. We are fighting people we've had to fight.
Do not run. Well, I'm not really in a position to tell people what to do when it comes to this, Linda, but I really, really hope you guys stay and fight with everybody else in this country, right-minded citizens who will stand right next to you and fight with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Majid. We have gone through, as you guys have gone through, what you had in this country when you came here. I had anti-Semitism every single day at school. I was like the only Jew in the village.
Yeah.
And you got through it, coped, you got stronger, and there's no way. We don't just run away. We love this country. As I say, my people were here in the middle of the 1600s. London particularly, I think, is the greatest place on the planet. And if there's pipsqueak, Corbyn thinks he's getting rid of us, don't hold your breath. Because we ain't going anywhere. We're going to stay here, we're going to work as we do, and we're going to make the best of it. And I just hope he doesn't get in, because not just for Jewish people, for this country as a whole.
Well, Linda, what you just said there about me going through similar things growing up, and you're absolutely spot on. You put your finger on it there, and you hit the nail on the head, and that is that anti-Semitism is racism. And so everyone in this country who stands against racism, and the sort of racism I experienced growing up, very violent racism, machete attacks, hammer attacks by neo-Nazis, they also hate Jews. So everybody who's against racism against people of colour must stand side by side with British Jews whenever and wherever racism raises its ugly head, because that's all anti-Semitism is, it's racism.
Thank you, Majid, for saying that, because you know the old saying, they came for me today, they'll come for you tomorrow. Because these people, they may be socialist, that is a label they're using, but they're coming out with fascist ideas. And all of us, everyone, one by one, will be picked on. So going back to the point, you know, my dad, God rest his soul, and my grandpa, they fought in the RAF and the Army in the Second World War, the First World War. I'm proud to serve this country, and they love the Queen and the royal family.
All right, Linda, thank you very much. Ian wants to speak to us from Mill Hill. Go for it, Ian.
Hello, Majid. Thank you for taking my call. What these anti-Semites in the Labour Party and other parties as well don't realise is that a Jew like myself that is not a religious Jew, in fact, I very rarely ever visit my temple, suddenly I feel very, very Jewish. And this is something that they can't understand. We've done this for over 2,000 years. And after 1945, it stopped. and we're now starting to fight back. We're not frightened anymore. We're not going to run and run because they don't realise that anti-Semitism has actually kept us, believe it or not. It's actually kept us as being Jews. Otherwise, we would have disintegrated. We would have gone into society and we would have been forgotten about. And it's just these people that are keeping us going and keeping us as Jews. And the moment that they realise, if they do realise it, which I don't think they actually will, but this is why I am a Jew, and my family has been Jews ever since time has begun.
All right, Ian, thank you very much for that perspective there. Very sobering indeed, that if it wasn't for anti-Semitism, your identity wouldn't be as strong as it is now. Perhaps a sobering reminder that the more people try and stamp something out, the best reaction is to push back in solidarity, unified with every other right-minded citizen. Richard from Holland Park, tell us what you think. Hello, Richard, you're on air.
Hiya. Yeah, I wanted to say the thing that frightens me just as much as Corbyn getting into power as a Jew, speaking as a Jew, are the Jews who would happily vote for Labour in an election, even knowing what they know about the anti-Semitism within the party.
Isn't voter behaviour a bit more complicated than that, though, Richard?
Well, I mean, I use the analogy that imagine if you were a Jew in 1920s Germany and you were sick of the Weimar Republic and there was a new party, the Socialist Workers' Party, which of course became the Nazi Party, and you thought, well, as a Jew, yeah, I'm happy to vote for them. They sound great. They're going to do great things for the country. Okay, they're a little bit anti-Semitic, but, you know, I'll just have some cognitive dissonance on that fact.
Yeah. Or it might be just in defence of those who do vote Labour, because, of course, what I don't want to say is good Jew, vote Tory, bad Jew, vote Labour. I really recoil from that kind of binary. So it might be that they're voting Labour because of their record on, say, the NHS or some other reason that they also think is very, very important, you know? It's like, for example, I had this conversation around when Sajid Javid was appointed as Home Secretary for the Conservative Party, and people were saying, oh, look, he's a coconut, or he's an Uncle Tom, he's going to deport his own parents. And the point is that actually people vote for very, very complicated reasons. Some people voted Trump just because they despised Hillary Clinton that much, even though they didn't agree with anything Trump stood for. And so there is some such thing as a protest vote, for example. So someone might vote Labour because they're protesting the Windrush scandal in the Conservative Party. I think it's very worrying for me if you reduce somebody's identity down to one element, one part of it, and then insist that they must have certain political thoughts based upon that. I think you can be a bit more complicated, and somebody might vote Labour while still bemoaning the anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, though, of course, you may not want to take that choice.
I disagree completely, because I think it comes down to a binary decision, and it makes it very, very simple. And you know, I agree with a lot of what Labour stands for, but purely as a Jew, now they have prevented me from voting for them.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So that means that for you, clearly, and obviously that's your choice. For you, anti-Semitism is such an issue; it would trump all the other policies of the party.
Yes, I think it would have to, because as a Jew, you're paranoid because of what's occurred in history, because of fact, and you've always got to think this kind of thing may happen again, and it might start slowly, and spread. Of course, it may not happen, but I think you have to take it very, very seriously.
Do you see, though, Richard, why I'm hesitating here is that a Jew who still, despite this and despite acknowledging this, votes Labour isn't less of a Jew.
Of course they're not.
Yeah, that's my point.
No, of course they're not. But I still can't get behind their reasoning. But as you say, it's a complex issue.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a simple decision.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that Jews are very concerned about Labour getting in, and would, think about leaving. In all seriousness, they would seriously consider leaving the country if he were to get into power.
Yeah.
As it stands, without coming out with it, as you said, without his statement on Israel and its right to exist, without coming forward with something, then it's a frightening prospect.
All right, Richard, thank you very much. Martin wants to speak to us from Redbridge. Go for it, Martin.
Hi, Majid. What a show. You're doing a fantastic job here.
Martin, your microphone's low a bit. If you could speak directly into the mic.
Hi, how's that?
That's better.
Right. What a show. Fantastic show, Majid. I'm a deputy. I'm on the board of deputies for Redbridge. Now, recently, the Parliament Square protest, Enough is Enough, was a very proud moment for us in the community, because finally our leadership stood up and said what we was all thinking. Today's article in the Telegraph by Jonathan Arkush, the President of the Board of Deputies, is exactly what we're thinking. Is exactly what we all feel and what we fear. Now, June from Liverpool said that we're not all planning to run. No, we're not planning to run. We don't run anymore. We've done that once before. And if we have got to run, we'll run when we're ready and we've got somewhere to go this time.
Well, it would be a sad day for this country if it ever came to that, Martin.
Well, that's the last thing we want to do. We love this country for what we've done, for what they've done for us. You know, like the lady said, Cromwell brought us back, the Balfour Declaration, everything in our history, we're intertwined. There's no reason why we should leave. But are we fearful if Labour get into power under Corbyn and McDonnell? By God, we are. Because, as someone else said, he's emboldened the anti-Semite. He is still patron of the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign, an organisation whose logo, without going into their mantra, if you just look at their logo, there is no room for Israel. And until the Labour Party agree, or Mr Corbyn and Mr McDonnell and Seamus Milne say, OK, we recognise the IHRA definition in its entirety, which they can't because they don't want to recognise Israel.
All right.
Then the Jews are on shaky ground.
All right, Martin. Thank you very much, Martin, there from Redbridge. It does strike me as quite simple, really. If Jeremy Corbyn just comes out stating clearly once and for all that he recognises not only Israel's right to exist, but that the Jewish people across the world have a right to a national homeland, then that solves much of this problem, because that's precisely what the concern is of the outgoing Board of Deputy Leader Jonathan Arkush, who's stating that that's all he really wants Corbyn to say, to make it very clear he will not accept a discourse which denies the existence of the right to the Jewish people of a homeland. Now, moving on, we're going to move to the subject of confession, because there's a battleground between religion and law. Should confession remain totally secret?
On your radio, on your phone, and here.
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.